Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Inside the Pigskin. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody out there as well.
I
I
see
had our
Marvin's got
Valentine's
his red
dinner
on for Valentine's
Friday
Day.
night.
That's
Yeah,
right, Candy. I'm wearing my
he got
cardinal.
his red
You
on.
got it right.
There he just, yeah. There we go. Happy Valentine's Day,
That's
folks,
red.
for those for whom this applies. We got about 45 minutes to go, so we're going to get as much in as we possibly can. We're hoping Steve Ballesteri can get on if he can. Great if he can't. Not a big deal. Sure win. So with that said, let's go ahead and get to it. And we're the most NFL combine invitations by school the last 10 years is as follows. In 2024, the Michigan Wolverines had 18. 2020, the LSU Tigers had 16. 2025, Ohio State had 15. 2025, Georgia had 14. Texas had 14 as well in 2025. In 2022, Georgia had 14. 2018, Alabama had 14. 2017, Michigan had 14. And of course, in 2016, Ohio State had 14. All right, let's go to Mel. What are your thoughts about this particular attendance over the last 10 years?
Blatantly missing was UCLA and USC, but a lot of the talent obviously has been in the Big Ten and in the SEC the last number of years. So it doesn't surprise me to hear those numbers.
Right.
I know.
What about you, Marvin?
My senior year, we had 10 guys that were drafted, so we had some players back then. Now the program's gone downhill since I left.
Yeah,
Oh, so you
Scotty,
could have
man.
made a difference at this stage of the game, Mel?
What's that, sir?
Go ahead, Marvin.
Yeah, I was just saying, man. That makes sense. I mean, when
Go
you
ahead.
look at who, yeah, that makes sense. When you look at who's dominated recruiting, and you look at the teams that have competed for conference title, playoffs, national
Right.
championship, it just those are the teams you just mentioned it. You know what I'm saying? USC really has been down. I mean, we had 7 guys go to the combine this year, but we've been down, so we're not gonna compete with those numbers. Those are great numbers, man. You talk about teams who have 15 guys, 14 guys at the combine. That's huge. These are programs that just reload. So yeah, I'm not shocked at all, man. I thought you were gonna jump out and say since Alabama, then had 100 dudes in the last 5 years or something like that, because I'd believe it. But yeah, that's impressive. It's very impressive.
Yeah, that's why I came up with this list because, the NFL scouting combine will be coming up soon, and I'll be curious to see what ends up happening with this year's numbers. But I thought let's give everybody an overall history. Good morning to Earl Kinsey. We appreciate him being a friend of the show. I don't know who is out there, but hello, it's anyways. Okay, Candy, some thoughts about those numbers.
It doesn't surprise me. So those are the schools that have been recruiting the top talent. We've talked about them. They've been on the top. There's some of the blue bloods of programs, some of them, not all of them. As far as from what I've heard so far for the 2026 NFL Combine, Texas A&M leads with 13 invited players, followed by Alabama with 12, LSU and Ohio State with 11 each. Now they're still coming out, but yeah, I mean,
All right,
Alabama,
so we'll update that stat at a later date.
Yep, I gotcha. But some of those schools are the schools that have been on top. There have been highly recruited schools that recruit not just 1 or 2 players. Obviously, they've been recruiting a number of players to get that many to go to the NFL Combine. And I think NIL is only going to help that.
Yeah, the only thing that surprises me on that list is that Alabama wasn't ranked first with Nick Saban. Michigan, obviously, say what you want about some of the records over the last several years, but them having the most of this group for this time frame, I'm surprised that they're at the number 1 spot. But again, these are blue blood programs anyway. So, you have that many blue bloods out there, and a lot of them are the familiar players. Texas A&M hasn't been relevant until they got into the SEC.
And Scott,
Earl.
listen.
Go ahead.
Listen, man. Lincoln Riley just made a comment about this recently. Those are also the schools that were heavily involved in NIL before NIL became legal in 2021, 2022, whenever it was. And I'm not calling nobody out because listen, any school that's had any success in football and basketball, has done the brown paper bag deal. You know what I'm saying? But you had a lot of schools in the southern region, southeastern region, that were just notorious for it. It was as bad. It was blatant. NC2A didn't care. So a lot has to do with it, man. But that's just what it is. But yeah, man, it's not now. It's a more level playing field. Which is what Lincoln was saying. Now that everybody can pay the kids, there isn't that monopoly. There isn't that dominance in recruiting because USC out here spending big. A lot of schools out here spending big bucks on these rosters in the open. I mean, you got schools paying $40 million for a roster, in college football, more than that, but now all the top teams are doing it. So
again, this is a topic we're going to be continuing to address as time goes on. We're not done with it by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just going over a 10-year period about who was doing what. Listen, we all know that NIL is going to change a lot. We know that since there's more parity involved, obviously those numbers are going to change. If we had more time, and we'll probably address it next Saturday, as we're going to talk about North Dakota State joining the Mountain West Conference. But today I wanted to limit it to certain types of topics when we have more time, because that's one topic that we're going to be talking about where there's a lot of layers to it. But today was not the day to address it. So we'll deal with it next week by all means. But yeah, that's what you really have. So let's continue on the combine theme. And Vanderbilt's Diego Pavia is among 15 quarterbacks invited to the NFL Combine. Pavia led the Commodores to a 17-9 record over 2 seasons as a starter, accounting for nearly 7,500 total yards and 68 total TDs. So let's not kid ourselves. If you're talking about the key position that you have about quarterbacks, you have 15 of them, and we saw Diego Pavia. We're probably in the next week or so on this show, we're going to insert some of our sound bites that we're going to have over the next couple of weeks. Right now, we're just trying to get back into things and sort out what we have. And I'll probably go out there and rewrite a couple stories. So please stay tuned. The Gammon, Vanderbilt's stats, basketball were better. Well, that's true. Vanderbilt, though, Peyton is an upstart program all the way around. Their basketball is doing much better than their football has, and they have stability in both the head coaching spots, which is making them look a lot better. But that's an excellent point, Peyton. We appreciate that. So with that said, Mel, give me your thoughts about Vanderbilt, Diego Pavia, and the quarterbacks being stacked.
They need arms at the combine too, And, we've talked about it before. I know you love Diego Pavia. I know you love Pavia, Scott, and you think the Jets should draft him. I think that's who you said. You think the Jets should go ahead and give him a chance. Aaron Glenn should go ahead and hitch his wagon to Pavia. But, they got to have arms there too. Not everybody that goes to the combine gets drafted. And again, I like the kid. He was a great college quarterback, did a lot of great things for Vanderbilt, made their program relevant. But I just don't see him as an NFL quarterback. And that's just my opinion. I'm just one of nobody. My opinion matters zero. But, from how I see it and the way the game's played at that level, I just don't think that he throws the ball well enough to be able to lead an offense in today's NFL. But, getting invited to the combine is a great opportunity. He can go out there, prove me wrong. Not that it matters, because, again, I have absolutely no say in his future. But it's a great opportunity to go out there and showcase your abilities and your talents. And all it takes is one. And if he's able to get one person that believes in him and likes him, then he'll have an opportunity in the NFL.
Excellent points. When I say the thing about the Jets, I say that, by the way, very sarcastically, Mel, I really do. So you can take my humor any way that you want, my friend. But I say that sarcastically because now I will say this. And again, this is another topic we'll get to at a later date. I know Frank Reich has been hired as their offensive coordinator. If Frank Reich is their offensive coordinator, he has a puncher's chance, but that's as far as I'll go because we all know Frank Reich is a really great offensive mind. Okay, Marvin.
Yeah, this kid from
But again, that's how important that's how important the quarterbacks are to have 15 of them. Sorry, Marvin. Go ahead.
No, you're good, man. Listen, I think with this kid, before you even look at the film, before you even, look at his numbers, you got to make sure this kid is what you want in the building. You got to make sure his mind is right, because, his some of his social media posts, some some of the things he's put out there are just odd. And when you look at, the type of leader that you're wanting at that position, when you look at the type of maturity that you want from that position, when you consider that you have men who are going to be, almost double his age, and you're going to have guys, this guy's in his early 20s, he'll go to a team that has somebody in their late 30s, early 40s. I mean, you got certain caliber men on these teams that don't want to deal with the immaturity and the craziness. Now, I think the kid's just a competitor, and I think he's just transitioning, having a tough time trying to express himself and show he's a competitor, but he has to do better than that, man. I'll be honest. If I'm an NFL team, I don't touch him in the first round. That's me. I don't waste. I don't want to say
Right.
waste. I don't invest a first round pick in him. It's really just based off some of the immaturity. To me, it almost comes off uh,
Right.
Baker Mayfield-ish almost. Baker threw some people off. He had some incidents in some situations when he was in college. Paiva doesn't have the criminal stuff that Baker had. He's not dealing with running from the police, but still, it's just you wonder about the immaturity. So I don't, I think he's a talented kid. I like the kid. Wouldn't shock me if the kid ended up playing 10 years in the league, whether he was a starter or a backup or a little bit of both. But I need to see a different caliber kid, different caliber young man. I need to see a little growth before I even consider drafting this kid.
Well, number one, I never said he'd be a first round pick by any means. I wouldn't go ahead and take a guy like you with his track record, but that's where a lot of these tests are going to come in with the interview process with all these NFL people there. They're going to find out and get in this kid's head. Okay, whatever you've been doing is one thing with all your your immature moves, but now you're getting in front of the guys that you're trying to. This is your resume of trying to land a job. This is a much different animal than most people think. I personally think that Pavia is probably a second day pick at best, second or third round pick, and don't even be surprised to see him end up as a third day pick going from 4 all the way to 7. I think that's the most likely place to slot this guy, not first by any stretch. I wouldn't dare draft him first. Candy, go ahead.
In 2025, he won the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award. He was obviously a finalist for the Heisman. He was also a finalist for the 2025 Manning Award. If you look at his progression, and I repeat, his progression, the first year that he started in New Mexico military. He played 8 games and he had passing yards of 916. Then he played the next year in 2021, 13 games. He had 1,700 yards. Then he went to Mexico State in 2022. He played 12 games and he had passing yards of only 1,450. Then New Mexico State in 2023, 15 games he played. His passing yards went up to 2,973. In 2024, he went to Vanderbilt, played 13 games. He only had passing yards of 2,293. And then this last year is where he really started to break out, I would say. And he played in 13 games. His record was 10-3. And completion percentage of 70.6 with 3,539 yards. So he is progressively getting better and better. I think yes, I do not think he will be a first round draft at all. I'm thinking more third round. I think he could be a sleeper pick if he goes to the right system with the right coaches and has we've talked about that. You go into a good NFL team as opposed to a really bad NFL team that has good coaching. He could definitely be a good backup. Now, I would not start him. I would say he needs a couple years underneath a good coaching system, and he could be a good backup and maybe work his way even to a good starter. But I think he needs to go to a good system for him. If he doesn't go to a good team, we we might not see him have a successful career in the NFL.
Well, let's not kid ourselves. We talked about this on a previous show. Vanderbilt had him at 6 foot tall, and obviously measured in at 5'9". So obviously that could factor into the grading process too. But then again, Doug Flutie didn't turn out too bad either, did he? So you can have small quarterbacks that can do pretty good things. So there's a lot of idiosyncrasies involved. I think he's a second or third day pick. I don't think he's a first round pick.
Yeah, but Scott, everybody isn't Doug
wants
Flutie. We throw Doug Flutie's name out there like he's this chopped liver. Doug Flutie won the Heisman. Doug Flutie was a baller in college. He was the real deal. And everybody who's 5'9" ain't Doug Flutie. So, and this kid is good. I mean, don't get me wrong. The kid,
right.
Payeva's a good player, man. But I think in Doug Flutie. With that said, he went on. He started in the NFL for like 3-4 seasons, 5-6 seasons. He was the starting quarterback, So, is Paiva special like that? I don't know. He's good. He's a good player, man. But I think Doug's in a different class of his own, man. I do, just being as short as he was and as impactful as he was, and I don't know if this kid is that, but we're gonna find out quick.
Yeah, when you're starting to grade quarterbacks by height, Doug Flutie's name is always going to mention it to him, and maybe one of these times I'm going to go actually, Candy, make a note in your mind here about Doug Flutie, and we're going to put the tape on probably on next week's show. I think it'll be a topic that we could continue to talk about as we get more and more sound bites. But I agree. I mean, Doug Flutie's a different animal. Yeah, he did win the Heisman Trophy, but since Marvin talked about Heisman Trophy, that'll be a perfect time that we're going to insert that comment there, and we can pick up on this a little bit more when we have more time. But in the meantime, as far as I'm concerned, Bobby is going to the NFL Combine, and like Mel says, all it takes is one person to like you, and then you'll be good. No, nobody said where he's going to go. That's the biggest intangible fact. But we'll have that soundbite on hopefully next week, because that's a good one, and that was one of the questions I brought up over at the Senior Bowl as well. Again, over the course of the next several weeks leading up to the draft, we have a lot of great stuff we're going to put in on these shows, and that's a perfect opportunity to do it in some cases. Well, let's continue to move on. Harbaugh has won another title. Jay Harbaugh is the special teams coordinator and won the Super Bowl. Mel, Jay Harbaugh, by the way, is a special teams coordinator for Seattle. What are your thoughts about another Harbaugh winning a championship? Everybody talks about the Mannings, but the Harbaughs are pretty good too. Mel?
You're on mute, Mel.
I'm sorry. I'm doing the driver's ed here, but I'm sorry. What was the question?
Sure. Jay Harbaugh, a Harbaugh won yet another title. This time we're talking about Jay Harbaugh, the special teams coordinator with the Seattle Seahawks. How about that? They talk about the Harbaughs and the Mannings being some of the best football people out there. You got one here, but let's talk about Jay this time. We'll give Jim his prompts at a later date.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty exciting for the Harbaugh family. I think that's Jim's son. I think that's pretty exciting for him to see his son go out there, and he's gone off on his own with Seattle. He's no longer under his dad's tutelage, and got a Super Bowl. I think that's great. The Harbaugh family is a great family. I have a lot of respect for the Harbaugh family, what they stand for, and what they're doing with young men. And so, yeah, that's great for the Harbaugh family.
Marvin?
Yeah, man, I love it. I think Jim and John, were greatly inspired by their dad, who was a longtime coach. And you just see that Harbaugh
Right.
family tree, that coaching tree, just stretching out. This is a like father, like son situation, something that I definitely can understand, something that Mel can definitely
Right.
understand. And it just tells you the impact that the men above this guy, his dad, his uncle, his granddad, it tells you the impact that they had on him, and it just speaks to, the Harbaugh family, you know what I mean? And they have such a proud tradition in football all the way around. And now they add, Jim's son, who's now Super Bowl champion. And I'm certain he'll go on to be a head coach at some point. So I love these stories, positive stories. The NFL is full of so many great personalities and families. And the media likes to
Right.
pick up a lot of negative stuff that are just really normal human stories, but this is a positive one. It's one of many positive ones that we should share. And I think it's cool, man. I like it. I like to hear it. Happy to see it. And I wish this young man well.
Yeah, me too. I mean, John Harbaugh won a Super Bowl against Jim. It just so happens. But hey, more power to Jay, right, Candy?
Yeah, I mean, if we want to go back to Jay, he was underneath Jim Harbaugh, and when Jim had that 3-game suspension to open the 2023 season, it was announced that Jay would serve as interim head coach for the first half of Michigan's second game of the season against UNLV on September 9th, 2023. They led the Wolverines to a 35-7 win over the Rebels, giving him his first official win as a college football head coach. And then on February 13th, 2 years ago, just about, he was hired as the special teams coach for the Seattle Seahawks. And if you look at what they did this year and look what they did in the Super Bowl on special teams, look at how many field goals they had, look how their punts. He did
Right.
a really good job coaching. He was crucial in that impact, very impactful in that win. So I only see a bright future for him, and he comes from a great lineage. And yeah, you're right, Scott. We talk a lot about the Mannings, but and to be clear, Jay played back in the day. He played high school, but he had issues with his knees, and that's why he did not continue playing anymore. And that's why he turned to coaching. But obviously, he's doing a really good job. So kudos to him and that family lineage.
I'm gonna tell you, if you thought the Harbaugh story is good, I got one that really is unbelievable right now, and that's this: Missouri Missouri the backup QBU of college football? This is unbelievable stuff, and I wanted to get it in here. Former Missouri quarterback Drew Lock became the third Tigers quarterback to win a Super Bowl as a backup. The 6'4", 228-pound quarterback became the 35th, just the 35th FBS QB to throw for more than 12,000 yards. Okay, and finished second in SEC history. The 2019 second rounder with the Tigers ends up spending 4 seasons with them, and he amasses 12,193 yards, 99 touchdowns. He joined Blaine Gabbert and Chase McDaniel to win a Super Bowl without logging a snap. We always talk about universities that are QB known for their quarterbacks, but who would have ever thought a backup quarterback, and Missouri got 3 of them that got rings? Dan Marino, you don't have one. And you logged a lot more snap, but these guys got them. Sorry, Dan. But, these 3 guys got rings. Oh, well, Dan, I feel bad for you. Maybe not. All right. Mel, pick up the narrative.
I'm sorry, man. I'm doing some instructions here. You have to just repeat the question real quick for me of what the topic was. I'll turn left here. This light.
That's fine. No problem. Missouri QB is Missouri the backup quarterback, University of College Football. The guy I mentioned was Drew Lock, and he obviously joined Blaine Gabbert and Chase McDaniel to win a Super Bowl without logging a snap. And sorry, I have to put Dan Marino. They doesn't have any, but this guy got 12,193 yards and 99 touchdowns. That's what we have. All right, Mel, take it from there.
You're asking if Missouri is the backup university, backup quarterback university. That's the question.
Yep.
Well,
From the information that you're given,
Oh.
from the information that you were given, it sounds that way. You know, a lot of these quarterbacks are moving from one place to another to get an opportunity to play. So yeah, it sounds like from the information that you're given that that could be a possibility.
Yeah, it's amazing. Missouri, of all schools, backup quarterback. And I'll tell you, this guy had 12,193 yards and 99 touchdowns, and now he gets a ring. So, hey, backup quarterbacks, I think, have always been just as important as anybody else. You never know when you're going to need them. If you need a history lesson, let's go back to the Miami Dolphins when Bob Greasy was out for a period of time, and Earl Morrall went out there as his backup during the undefeated season. And I could go into a lot of examples, but this one stands out in my mind. Go ahead, Marvin.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's a great stat from Missouri, especially, when you're trying to recruit top talent to that region and you want to give them a reason to feel excited about going through your program. Hey, quarterbacks who go through our program, make it in the NFL, and they're in the Super Bowl repeatedly. Again, great recruiting tactic and tool. Missouri is a good program. They've been a good program. I remember when Larry Smith was the head coach out there back in the 90s. A lot of talent in that area, and they don't win. They haven't won championships. They haven't won the SEC anytime lately, or since they've been in it, I believe. But these are some of the things that you hang your hat on when you're the Missouri coaching staff, when you're the administration, trying to bring kids in there. So yeah, are they the backup quarterback university out there right now? It sounds like it. But who wants to be the backup quarterback university when you can be the university who had the starting quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks and you won a Super Bowl? But a backup's a good job too. So kudos to Missouri. I hope you can get some recruits in there.
Well, I'll tell you, it is a good recruiting tool. Blaine Gabbert and Chase Daniel got rings. My God. But let's go to Earl Kinsey's comment. Being on the right team at the right time would get you a ring. Earl, true words couldn't be more spoken than that. In my opinion, your comment here is a bullseye, Earl. Great stuff. Okay, Candy.
I was, me, I got to do my crack research and stuff like that. I never knew that there were so many Missouri Tigers that went into the NFL draft. Almost every year since 1937. I mean, if you look at it, it's just not that there's a ton of players, but there's numerous players that have gone in from Missouri. And I guess I just didn't realize the program was that old and produced. And granted, there's a lot of players in the NFL, and a lot of colleges, but you're really opening my eyes, Scott. I didn't realize that there were that many, especially backup quarterbacks. And let's face it, yes, you want to be a starter. I get that. But even to say you were a backup in the, they still get paid. They still get, if they're in the Super Bowl and win a Super Bowl, they still get their rings. They still can brag about it. And let's face it, they're not getting hit, so they're not getting injured either. I mean, let's face it, you want to play if you're in the NFL. I get that. But kudos to Missouri. And yeah, that's a great recruiting tool that they can use as well.
And I think I inserted this thing into our program when I knew Marvin only had 45 minutes tonight, and I needed to give you my 6 or 7 best. And it got magnified. But here's a little food for thought. Once upon a time, God, and rest in peace, Mom, she actually wanted me to go to the Missouri, University of Missouri, because she had heard that it was a great journalism school. I didn't know nothing about Missouri at all. And here's a woman that was a lifetime hairdresser. Wanted me to go there. Now, I don't know how I would have afforded out of state fees. Her heart was in the right place, Mom. God love you. And I know that it's a great journalism school. Have a lot of great people that have come out of Columbia. But, they produce backup quarterbacks. And I have a little history with that based on what my mom wanted to do. I ended up getting my 4-year degree at South Florida. So it's pretty interesting how certain things are full circle moments. Rest in peace, Mom. But this was a perfect opportunity to put you on Inside the Pigskin. And this morning, Mom, you got your plug for sure. All right. Well, you know what? You talk about a one and done. This was definitely it. Leaving Indiana, quarterback coach and co-offensive coordinator Chandler Whitmer is expected to be hired by the Tampa Bay Bucks as a QB coach in his lone season with the Hoosiers. All he did was a quarterback coach for who? Fernando Mendoza. All right, Mel, a one and done. He already ends up winning a national championship in college. Now we'll see if he can get Baker Mayfield on track and revive that Bucks offense. Mel.
Yeah, I mean, when you have a talent like Fernando Mendoza, it makes you look good as a coach. You know, we often give these coaches a lot more credit than what they deserve for developing this person or developing that person. You know, a lot of these guys just already had the natural talent, and you know, the coach obviously is the benefactor of it. So we'll see what happens. You know, it's a great opportunity for him. I'm sure he's gonna, I'm sure he's gonna make the most of it. And we'll just have to see what happens.
Marvin.
Yeah, listen, Fernando Mendoza is going to be the number one pick. He won the Heisman. You know, when you're the guy that's been his position coach, then typically you're the guy who's being looked at as, you know, the new whisperer, you know, the new guru. And coming off the season that Tampa Bay Bucks had, which was disappointing. Obviously, they had a lot of injuries, but, you know, they've had some turnover in their staff. Todd Bowles let some people go, looking for new energy, new methods, new communication, new ways to reach Baker Mayfield, to get him playing at a certain level. And it makes sense that you get the guy you get the guy that ultimately just produced the best college quarterback that we've seen this year. So good move. You know, this is how it happens. You go from college to pro. This guy's moving up, and hopefully this coach can have the same impact on Baker, who's already the number one overall pick, who's already led a team to the playoffs, who's already been named, you know, Pro Bowl, a Pro Bowl player. I don't know if he's been all pro, but I know he's been a Pro Bowl player. But Baker's a player, man. So let's see if this coach can elevate his game.
Well, Todd Bowles had to get this one right. He was spared the coaching carousel this year, but if next year, if they don't get it figured out, Todd will be looking for work elsewhere. So we'll see. This guy obviously has won a national championship in college. So let's see what you can do as a pro coach. And he was rewarded for his efforts in terms of what he had done with Mendoza. Candy?
So as I do my research on him, he actually played quarterback for Illinois, Butler, CC, and then UConn. And then after that, he was a graduate assistant at Yale and then Ohio State and Clemson in 2020. And then from there, he was hired as offensive quality control coach for the Los Angeles Chargers from 21 to 23. From there, he went to Atlanta Falcons as a pass game specialist. From there, Curt Cignetti hired him for Indiana as the co-offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. And yes, like the two have talked about, anytime, especially like anybody on Curt Cignetti's staff, Indiana took a basketball school and made it a football school. And anytime you have that kind of success, you're going to be recruited by others. And so Tampa Bay went and looked at it and said, hey, let's pull Chandler for our quarterbacks coach. We need somebody to help our quarterback elevate his game, and who better than someone that took Mendoza and made him a national champion. So we'll see how it translates to success in Tampa.
Okay, let's go to the chat room. Candy, put both of them up from Andy Osman. Hi, y'all. How you doing, Andy? Glad to have you on this morning. And I always and still think college to professional NFL football isn't just one step up. I think the players get hyped before watching how they surround the pro games. That's a valid point. So we have a built-in topic here. So Mel, what are your thoughts about what Andy had to say about this?
Man, I'm sorry. What did Andy say about what? I'm sorry.
Now, go ahead, Candy. You can read it. My
He
voice
said,
is
I
going to get.
always and still think college to professional NFL football isn't just one step up. I think the players get hyped up before watching how they do surrounding themselves with pro players.
Okay, I'm a little. What was he saying now? He's saying that the pro football is not a step up from college football.
That NFL football isn't just one. It's not one step up from just college to professional, and that he thinks that the college players get too hyped up before they are inserted around pro players.
I don't know exactly what he's trying to say there. I mean, I know for me, there was a bigger jump from high school to college than it was from college to the NFL. And man, it could be because of the talent that I played against when I was in college. But I don't know exactly what the point that he's trying to make. I don't understand it.
And then he comes on.
He follows up. Andy follows up.
He follows up and it says, it's weird to me. People don't look at what I think is most important, offense or defensive line. The way teams win or lose is in the trenches.
Well, I agree with that 100%. I mean, I know Marvin will too. I mean, you've got to be able to control the line of scrimmage. If you can't control the line of scrimmage, if you can't run the football and if you can't stop the run, you're going to have a very difficult time. Because when you're able to do that, you're able to control the ball game. You can shorten the ball games by being able to run the football because the clock is constantly running. When you're stopping the other team's run game, you put them in passing situations. If you look at the Super Bowl, where New England was not able to run the football and they had to rely a lot on Drake May. You put them in predictable situations. So then your defensive line, they just pin their ears back and they just go hunting. So yeah, I agree with that 1,000% that you've got to build your teams from the inside out. All right, so now a little bit.
All right, Marvin, give me your observation on both of what Andy said out there.
Yeah, well, just following up with Mel is absolutely correct. The jump from high school to college, at least for me, going from Birmingham High School to USC, is much bigger than going from college to the pro. Now, going college to pro is serious because you're dealing with the speed of the game. That's the biggest difference, and all that really means is that players are so much more efficient with their movement. They're so much better at their position and their skill and their footwork, and they're trained to move and respond like robots in certain situations. So there's less wasted movement, which really makes the totality of the game much faster, each play much faster. Yeah, I mean it's a tough move though. I mean, going from college to pro definitely is tough. I think he's right that the game is all about the line of scrimmage, dude. It's all, if you want to know who's going to win the game, if you want to know who the better team is, who's better in the box. I mean, who's better at O-line, D-line, period. I mean, that's just what it comes down to. And obviously you include the linebackers and I include the backs in there. But who's tougher in the box, man? At the end of the day, you look at this year's Super Bowl. What did it come down to? Seattle had defense. Seattle had a run game. You look at the Eagles. You look at Alabama during Nick Saban years. Pete Carroll years. It doesn't matter college or pro. The teams who are dominant, the teams who kick your butt, they kick your butt at the line of scrimmage, and they can run that ball. So I think that the person who put the comments up, it makes sense. I understand where he's coming from, and yeah.
All right, I've got one more topic I want to get to. Anything you want to say real quickly, Candy? This doesn't require research at all.
No, all I would say is that we've talked about how sometimes success in college doesn't mean success in NFL. That it depends on the team you go to and the players around you. And yes, definitely, we've talked how many times defense normally wins championships. But yes, we've talked, if you don't have a good offensive and a defensive line, you're not protecting your quarterback. You don't have time. You're not making holes for the running back. Your game is going to be won in the trenches for sure.
Okay, our final topic of the night. We'll insert a USC one on Tuesday night, but we're gonna have a good UCLA one because Mel has to feel good about something over in Westwood. I'll give him one that he can feel good about. All right, Marvin, we got to be nice to him on this one. Okay, because he's driving, and hopefully he's hearing this as he's driving. But UCLA takes the #1 spot in preseason ranking via Division I baseball. They may not be able to play well on the football field, but hey, Mel, at least you got something to cheer about on the diamond, anyways. And speaking of that, we do have talking baseball later on at 11 o'clock p.m. 11 a.m. Eastern time. Mel, at least if you, what do you think about UCLA being relevant in baseball?
Yeah, we do well in the Olympic sports, baseball and softball, women's basketball, beach volleyball, things of that nature. That's all great, man. But we got to do better in football, in the money generating sports. I don't want to hear what Marvin has to say. I'm sure he's got nothing positive to say about it, and I don't blame him. I mean, if I were him, I'd beat on me too. But yeah, we got to become relevant in the most important sport, the sport that brings the most money and the most attention to the university, and that's football.
Well, I had to put this out there for you anyway, Mel. At least they're pretty good in baseball anyway. Come on, Mel.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it.
I just want to put it out there. I'm trying to give you some brotherly love there, man. And baseball is where you're getting it today. So we'll let Marvin tee off on you another time, unless you have anything to say on this, Marvin. I know you're not big on baseball,
I do.
But what? You give Mel a little love on this?
Nah, it ain't no love today, baby. Even on Valentine's Day, you get it the hard way with me. Look, UCLA, they're in the Big Ten. It's a football conference. Obviously, they don't have a lot of football stuff to talk about over there. So they got to talk about the other sports. They got to talk about the baseball and the women's basketball and the softball and the underwater basket weaving and all that stuff. Because when it comes to football, there's nothing to talk about at all. You know what I'm saying? They haven't been relevant since before segregation. That was a long time ago. So, the fact that their baseball team's #1 right now, it doesn't mean a lot to me, to be honest with you, because, at USC, we have the most national championships in baseball, too. We don't just do football. We do baseball, too. We won the national title when I was there, as a matter of fact, in baseball, So, yeah, if they finish #1, then come back to me. If they win the World Series, then come back to me. If they go out there and compete and dominate baseball through the season and they go wire to wire, then come back to me. Right now, this is just a filler. This is just something. This is just smoke and mirrors right now. I don't trust that they're going to finish #1, but we'll see. We'll see. And I'll tell you what, if they do, then the next time we have a football conversation about the colleges and Mel has to be quiet, I'll allow him to bring in the national championship for baseball if they win it, because listen, national championships matter. They do. They matter. But we'll see, man. Let's see what UCLA does with it.
All right, that's okay. I'm fair with that. Earl, yeah. I'm going to go to Earl Kennedy. Seahawks had strength on all three phases of the game: offense, defense, and special teams. You nailed that one. And Earl, I'm going to give you something to feel good about. Marvin's on the Wednesday night show anyways, right, Marvin? And as a result, if you're waiting for March Madness, Marvin will definitely go out there and be able to chime in on that. Are you there, Marvin? I know you have to get rolling in a minute, but do you hear this, Marvin?
Yes. Okay. Yes.
So Wednesday, on Wednesday night is when we talk the most basketball. So if you can stay up until at least 9 or a little after 9, or we're going to be talking about March Madness soon enough. Candy, last thoughts about UCLA baseball, and then if we have time for one fast station break, we'll do it. Otherwise, the show will be over and we'll get ready. But we'll try to piecemeal what we could. I think we pretty much addressed everything we wanted to get to for the most part. So, yeah, staying in there, Earl. Wednesday will be basketball night. Glad you brought it to my attention, because now I'm going to look for you on that show with Marvin and I and the rest of the group. Go ahead, Candy.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it. Football is the money-making sport out of all of them, especially for most colleges. I would say basketball and, then baseball is probably third. But, hey, anytime you can have success in your program, it helps you and your school to be able to promote and recruit for all of the sports.
Just trying to give you a little bit of love today, Mel, with the baseball tidbit. All right, Candy, real quick, Marvin, we'll get all the other formalities out on Tuesday night whenever you don't get in. We do want to give a plug for the book real quick. That's all we need. All right, Candy, go ahead real quick.
South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by our host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth, talks about his 40-plus years in the media and how it has evolved. Go get your copy today. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. There's also an audiobook out there wherever you get your audiobook. There's also a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where there's a plethora of great content, so go check it out. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. If you see the red subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner, that means you haven't subscribed to us yet. Please do so and turn on your notifications so you're notified every time we go live. There you go, Scott.
Boy, she a great study. The way she talks faster than I do. I'm proud of this girl. Happy Valentine's to Candy and everybody out there that it applies to. I'm glad that she picked up on my ability to talk fast. Any other closing thoughts, Marvin? I know you got to get rolling, but we got a lot of what we need to get in and everything timed out well. And Earl Kinsey, once again, is our most valuable player in the chat room, and Andy was a big part of it too as well. So final thoughts, Marvin, before you get rolling.
Final thoughts. I am pumped and excited to get out this car and go watch my daughter and her volleyball team, the Tsunami Wave, go out there and kick some butt. I told her no mercy, make them bleed, and bring home that W.
Awesome.
Well, Bruce Arians would be proud of you because Bruce Arians would be proud of you because he, and we're going to talk about him at a later date. He wouldn't fire you because you're putting your kid's event ahead. And that's one of the reasons I gave you my blessings last night. It didn't hurt to have a date night on Friday night. Once upon a time, I couldn't do that doing other stuff at that time. But boy, that date night was great. And get out of here, Marvin. Enjoy your daughter and be ready to go, though, on Tuesday night because I'm going to load that show up with a lot of really interesting stuff. Marvin, you know how much I feel about you. You are the BEST. So go out there and enjoy your daughter's activity today. And know that the only time you'll ever be talking about baseball was your one and done here because you were talking about UCLA baseball. So, oh, well, life goes on. It is what it is. All right, Marvin, have an awesome day. Mel, appreciate you being on early. Candy, as usual, you're fantastic. And I'll get a hold of Steve Ballester. I have a topic that we're going to hold off until he gets back on the show. There's no immediate timing for it, but we got into what we needed to do in the time frame. All right, we're done. Take care, everybody. We'll see you in a couple hours for Talking Baseball. Bye now.